now we're streaming.
All right.
All the signals are there.
Apologies for the delay. We have a great show for you. And Laura, get us going.
I will do that. Hello and welcome to another Katasi Healing Talk. I am Laura Ketty, and with me is Laura Philpott, another Red Door practitioner and Katasi student. On our panel screen today, we have Helmut and the amazing Kay, our two teachers, and Kay is I can call her a genius. I'm going to call her a genius. My favorite, I always say a beautiful genius who created the Red Door and the Red Door programs that we use. And so grateful. Also with us today is DeAnna, another Katasi student with Lora and I and Red Door practitioner. And a special, super special guest, her brother Benjamin, that has been this fantastic guinea pig for DeAnna's learning and experimentation of the Red Door. And that's some of the fun things we're going to talk about, or they're going to share about. And we're going to enjoy it today. And I have to say, I'm thank you, Kay and Helmut, for letting us have this conversation today, because I've known DeAnna for a while and Benjamin for a while too. And I absolutely love the way that they're exploring the boundaries and the potential of the Red Door together. I mean, most siblings are still busy pulling each other's hair. And for these two, looking at fun ways of exploring healing and health and happiness with using the Red Door is a delight. And also quite hilarious in some of their exploration. Some of their practices have been intentional, and some of their learnings have been unintentional and just as much fun. So DeAnna, if you don't mind taking it from there.
I'm actually going to start with Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ben's going to talk about his experience first, and then I'll share my part. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, DeAnna. Yeah, so one of the stories I'd like to share is one of the unintentional or pseudo-unintentional experiences that we had, and that is quite funny. So yeah, yes, thank you, Laura. So back in December, I was doing one of my regular daily meditative walks, and over the course of a day or so, I just got this sense of anticipation, not quite anxiety, but it's kind of like someone texts you saying, "Can I call you?" And you reply, "Yes." And you just have this sense of like, and then you let it go because you're like, okay, something must have come up. And then you get the text again, "Is now okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm available." And then you wait. And it's just had this sense of build up and then wait, build up. And I'm like, something's just not right. And I usually have this sense of centeredness and this sense of calm and this sense of like, I have this direction. And through my own personal work, through yoga and Tai Chi and working with Lora and DeAnna, I was just like, something's not right. And so I text DeAnna and I'm like, okay, can I call in? She says yes. And we talk right away. So that anticipation wasn't there. But I go, hey, can you check the programming? Something's just not working right. And she's like, what? And so the answer I get was very enlightening. And so I'm going to turn it back to DeAnna, because as she put it, she had a bit of a confession for me at that time. So I'll let DeAnna explain to you what she explained to me at that time. So DeAnna.
Yeah. So it was over December 17th-ish, and we were doing what I described as the great family gathering. So there were 17 of us, probably 5 or 6 different families that all gathered together to celebrate Christmas at a vacation rental, and various stages of people's own drinking, people's own communication styles. And so I wanted to bring a bowl that I could periodically open and clear the air and just help negative thought forms go away. And Laura had talked about how she had some really great Thanksgivings that were really peaceful with the family. So I was like, well, I'm going to bring a bowl. So as I was making an informed choice about which bowl to bring and who I was going to be periodically taking out of the bowl, I decided that Ben was the most stable person. And I really just didn't think he would notice. And because he wasn't also at family Thanksgiving or family Christmas, he wasn't there, but the girls were in a bowl and my husband was in a bowl. And so I decided to take his bowl and his programming. And so periodically throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would take him out of the bowl and leave the bowl open and, keep it open and clear for about a half hour, 45 minutes, go back in, put him back in. And so he was in and out of the bowl constantly throughout that time. And from my end, we were having a lovely Christmas. People played nice together. My sister-in-law even came up and said, this is one of the best family Christmases ever. One set of people who have a tendency to overdrink and be kind of extra obnoxious and irritating, they actually left for an extended period of time. And I wonder if that wasn't because the energy of the house just was not welcoming for that over drinking indulgence. And so they left and did their own thing during the daytime. And then when they came back, they were more appropriate. And they didn't leave in a hustle. They're like, we're going to go adventure. And they had never done that before. But yeah, so everyone just played really great together. It felt really peaceful and loving. And so then I actually went back and looked at our text messages, Ben. So Monday, he writes me this text message and he says, can you check if the program in the bowl is good for me? And I immediately got guilty. I'm like, oh no, knows. And so I wrote back, yes, of course. Why? ? And he then says, I'm feeling like something is off. And so I said, yeah, let's talk. So we called and I was like, and of course, because it's Ben and it's okay that we do this with each other, I was like, tell me what's going on. Because I wanted to hear. So, and the explanation I remember was like, I'm just feeling off. I'm feeling more anxious. I'm not feeling nearly as grounded. And so then my response is, Ben, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you and I appreciate your insight. And I need to apologize that I have been taking you in and out of the bowl. And I think that I am giving you spiritual whiplash and that how much you're in and out and you're like, I'm grounded, I'm centered, I'm not. And so we had a good laugh and I told him that I would text him if I needed to take him out of the bowl, but that was on Monday and we were leaving Tuesday. So I felt like, he's like, okay, just tell me when you're going to take me out of the bowl again so I can anticipate it and do my own stuff to stay grounded. So that's where we came up with the kind of whiplash of being in the Red Bull. So.
And to DeAnna's credit, she has done a really good job of letting me know within 5 hours that she has taken me out of the bowl.
Yeah. So the other kind of game that we play with each other is I will change his programming and then we'll talk within 24 to 48 hours. And I'll be like, hey, I recently changed your programming. What have you noticed in the last 2 days? And we will talk about kind of what he's noticing. And I won't tell him what I did to the program or what program I put in until he tells me. And then I say, okay, well, this is what I did. And then he and I will analyze, was it related? Was it not related? What is he noticing now that he has the information of what was in the bowl? And so, it's kind of it's been a fun game to play.
And one of the other things is we've gotten permission from my best friend who's dealing with a lot of her own personal stuff. But I've also not noticed a lot of improvement and a lot of confidence from her But that's the other side of that is DeAnna's been working with my friend, and just the centerness and groundedness that I've seen in her growth. And as DeAnna works with her bowl, and I think another healing talk DeAnna talked about that I helped finance for a bowl for her. That also, and those observations as those programs change and develop as through her own growth, that's another conversation we've been having with my friend's permission, of course. So that's also been really insightful and enlightening through that third person's view, not just my own personal experience. So that's been really enjoyable and enlightening.
What's also interesting is I've actually, Ben will call periodically and be like, hey, can you send a little extra confidence? Or, they're fighting off a cold or whatever. And I was like, okay. And so just using the protocols of the bowl and selecting, like doing the analysis and things of what needs to be in the bowl. But I never have talked to Ben's best friend. I've never had a conversation with her. And yet she can have these really great benefits, which is kind of cool. So.
And she feels it and is very appreciative with it, and she's sensitive to the energy and stuff. She and I met through yoga, so she's very sensitive to that. So she notices within a day or two, no more than 3.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
So DeAnna, I noticed that you didn't pick your bowl to.
Well, at the time I didn't have a.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't have the bowl at that time. And
yes, that's right. You're that kind of mother.
Which I think actually, and now that you're bringing that up, I think that through that conversation, I think Ben and I discussed about how to finance another bowl so that I had more bowls so I didn't have to hijack his bowl so much. Because I think soon thereafter, I ended up getting a bowl. So yeah, so now I have one for each member of the family. And so, yeah, because I think I had the girls, Laurel was in one bowl and I think Tyler was in another. And So yeah, I had a limited supply of bowls, which I'm constantly struggling with. Like, I don't have enough bowls, but
you never have enough.
Yeah, right. You never have enough.
And you always have enough. I shouldn't say that. Right. You just it's the exploration of all the different things that you can do with them. I mean, we haven't found boundaries yet, other than permission.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a reason. I mean, it's our first thing we lean to. I have to say, my back is feeling a lot better. I pulled my back this morning, and right before this call, an hour before this call, and my go-to is like, it'll just go away. That was my first thought, and it didn't go away. And I mean, the pain was so severe, I was having trouble breathing without pain. I had glad that there was a grip bar on the toilet, put it that way. I had to use the bathroom, and it made it worse. And just sitting here, I wasn't so sure I'd be able to make the call today, but I went for the bowl and set up the bowl, and doubled up the pain rates and inflammation and all the good stuff for that lower back. And just sitting here, it should be getting worse when you sit for long periods of time, but instead it's getting better and better. So I'm sure Laura's doing some Reiki here next to me too. Everybody on this call is sending juju on the top of it. So, but I'm definitely broad. But I just thought there's so many amazing stories. But I mean, you two, I mean, DeAnna does a lot of experimenting.
Can I share a story?
Yeah.
So I work with this young man, and he's on the autism spectrum, and he has quite a few things that are going on with him. But it's an extra bowl that Laura's lending me, and so I put him in and work on him when I can. But when I'm working on another client, I have to pull him out and basically use the red door for that client. And it never ceases. I now I have to call and give a warning, because like, okay, I have to take him out of the bowl today because I'm working on Sunday, because she's like, something's off, something's wrong. Can you check in and make sure he's got the right rates or whatever? Because he would like bounce off the wall as soon as I took him out of the bowl. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I took him out, but but she's so appreciative, because she can tell. I mean, she can tell as soon as I have to take him out of the bowl to work on somebody else.
Yeah.
What I find is, can I jump in? What I find is so fascinating about your friend Laura, as well as with Ben, is he didn't call to say, I'm having an off day, can we talk? Like, he called, and I mean, his first text was, check the bowl. He ever mentioned, like, we often call, he's like, hey, I'm having a really rough day, or things are happening, can we talk? That wasn't what it was, right? And your friend called you and you're like, something, like, she intuitively knew, even though she wasn't getting the broadcast, she thought about the bowl too.
Yeah, because she noted a difference in his day-to-day reactions. I mean, it was drastic enough that she could tell that he wasn't in the bowl.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I give her a warning. Okay, I have to take him out.
It's often, I do think that's when a lot of times we notice the effects is when we are not getting the broadcast, because it's like growing hair. So for some of us, we felt it right away. And some of us, it was like slow over a period of time that you just felt better and better and better, whatever that period of time was. But when, I took myself out of just the coherence programs, not all the other healing programs I was doubling up my bowls, and I had me in for all the healing work, physical healing work. And then I had the coherence in a separate bowl, and I put the coherence in with the other stuff. And it's not, it was just less. I mean, there's something about that strong broadcast, that coherence being in it. I can see it on people. I can see when they're the glow. One of our fellow students had got the coherence program, and she hadn't started using it on herself. And I asked her, are you broadcasting coherence yet? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, because I didn't see that like glow. And then like a month later, we're all on Zoom again, and I saw it. I'm like, she's got coherence in there. And sure enough, she had it. There's that, DeAnna too, when I was working on her for a long period of time, when she finally came out of the bowl before she started practicing it, she got sick. Her whole family got sick, but while she was in the bowl, I never let her get sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Benjamin, would you want to share how your Red Door adventure started and what they brought to your life?
Sure. So originally it started just being supportive of my sister, and listening to, her experience with this. And I've have worked with energy through my martial arts and my own experiences myself. And not to try to embarrass her, but she was kind of shy about like sharing her experience. She was kind of like, this is real. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I get this. I understand this is real. And so she was timid about like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, no, I hear you. And she's like, can I try this? And I'm like, okay. And so I don't recall exactly what the first one was, because it's been a couple years, a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even the first one, I was like, almost, within minutes, I was like, yes, it was subtle, but it was real and it was noticeable. And I was like, okay, this is, very meaningful for me. And it was very in line with my own practice. And so, talking with DeAnna, she's like, well, and it was, I don't know if it was your first or second bowl that you had me in for a little bit. And I was like, nope, I want, originally it was, I was like, let me help finance at least one for 6 months. And it was.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
So I had one bowl, and so I put Ben in the bowl for a little bit, and he liked it. And he was like, well, can I rent space in a bowl? And that's what he had asked me. And I was like, yes, in fact, we can figure something out. I was like, how about you pay half and I'll work just on you for 6 months. And then so we kind of came up with this like plan of like, if things get hard or whatever, I'll get you back in, but like, you'll get it dedicated for 6 months. It was something, it was just this random thing. So, but keep going, Ben. So we started that for like 2 months in. Yeah.
Within 2 months, I was like, no, I understand what's going on. I understand the feeling. And it was more about the sensation. It wasn't like the cognitive understanding, although I get that. But it was what it was doing and how it was doing it. And it was the sense. And I was like, no, this is meaningful. And I was like, I want to make that investment for myself. I want to support what DeAnna's doing. And so I was like, let's do this. And just how it was, helping me with my own path. I was like, this is meaningful. So I was like, I'm all in, let's go. And I paid for DeAnna to get the bowl for just me as well as she's doing that. And it made so much of a meaningful, I don't want to say change because it was in line with what I was doing. And it made things, I don't like it made things, so it was, I don't want to say easier because it's not meant to be easy, but it made things come to me where it was more evident. And I was like, this is where I need to go. This is how I need to do it. And I was like, okay, this is how it, and my best friend was doing similar work. And I was like, this is so meaningful. It just was so self-evident that this was helpful. And I was like, I'm willing to put the time, effort, and money so DeAnna can help this. And so I talked to her and I was like, is this something you'd want? She's like, absolutely. So DeAnna and I talked about that, to do that. And just the work over the past year with myself and my best friend, working with DeAnna with these 2 bowls, I mean, it just is so worth it. And so just even this experience just with, as DeAnna's calling it, the whiplash, it's just so validating. I mean, I find so much joy and love and humor in that experience, but it just says, this is what it is. I mean, so having that opportunity to go, yep, this is what it is in, this is what it is in out, and having that experience, I can handle it being out, but having that opportunity, it's like stepping inside and outside of the house. You have that warmth and safety of the house, but you understand what it's like outside. And you're like, okay, this is how I can face things, having that understanding and going out, and like you can face the things with that center and that groundedness, and you can have that energy to do things and face it, with that support. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
The bowls literally teach you. They teach your body. They teach your whole mind and beingness. Whatever it is that it's broadcasting, it teaches you how to be that way, so you're not like addicted and dependent on the bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thanks for sharing, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Nicely put.
Ben, are you willing to share, and you can share as much or as little as you want to, about the work we did around the bowl with dating and relationships?
I was just thinking about that. Can you help me with the wording? I don't remember exactly.
So Ben was in the process of ending one relationship. And so one of the kind of things we talked about was how to, I put what is called the Star, it's funny, we put the Star Wars program in to help him, for those people who can see.
Right in his wheelhouse.
Around energies. And so to really just help Ben get clarity around like ending that relationship fully and with integrity for himself. And so we put that Star Wars program in. And then when he was ready to start looking and dating again, he and I talked about what that relationship wanted to look like. So it was really about manifesting the person and the kind and quality of relationship. Do you remember the wording, or what was your process like when I was talking about it? So the terminology I would say is we were manifesting the next mate for you. And we use the term mate.
Right. And that's what I was looking for a little help for. But essentially what I was looking for is someone that was doing their own work, where she was emotionally available. And so I can happily say that I've been dating someone that for the past 5 months, who I would say we are in a healthy relationship where we communicate stuff and there isn't any drama. But with this work, and I find this so funny, is she did her own work in manifesting, and she asked the universe around the same time to meet her partner. She didn't use the word mate, but partner. And she asked the universe to meet her partner about the same time. And it was about 3 weeks later, we met online. And so, it's funny because like most people think of technology and all the problems with online dating, but really I was only online for less than 2 months. And, it was just like there, and I was like, this is the person. And I knew, within the second date, I was like, this is who I want to be dating. And so we've been, in a strong, healthy, committed relationship for, almost 5 months now. And it's been very successful.
I'm going to add to that because I'm reminded of something. Is that okay? So when Ben started dating, we put that out there, and he actually went on and had dated a couple different people and was kind of starting these relationships. And every now and again, he would say, will you ask the bull if I should take my profile off? And he would say, will you ask the bull if I should go to, this website or this website? And I would write down my question, and I would write the answer down, yes or no. And then I'd send a picture. And several times he was like, I think I should stop paying for this subscription to this, match.com or whatever. I don't know. And the bull would say, no, not yet. Like, don't give up that subscription yet. And then he would Ben would be like, am I ready to take that out? And I would keep asking, is this still needed? Is this, request for this kind of mate still needed? And the answer kept saying yes, 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 even though he was meeting really wonderful people that he was connecting with and getting along well with. But it wasn't until his current girlfriend came along that there was also this deep sense of knowing that I experienced in you, Ben, of this, I want. And so even before they got into a committed relationship, he said, I'm no longer interested in these other people because I know, in my own words, the magical spark with this person. And so, and then once he came with that, and the next time I checked in the bowl, I was like, does he need these subscriptions for these? And it's like, nope, doesn't need to pay any more for dating apps. Does he need this manifesting thing? And it actually had it stay a little longer, the kind of qualities of the mate that Ben was looking for. But then since then, I've taken that out and not needed that. So it's your new dating app, the Red Door.
Oh, beautiful. Really amazing. Thank you guys for
I
sharing.
think DeAnna has a
Great
whole
story.
level of clients she could take on.
That's what I do, Mark.
what I really, hindsight looking back, and what I really appreciated, there was a spot in between where it was really, there was an answer of, I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
Where it was like, stay the course, keep doing this. And there was an in-between spot that literally the answer was, figure it out. And I'm like, I get it.
I don't know. And he interpreted it as a figure it out, which was great. Keep going. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah. And so it was like, just, be there. And it was like, okay, and, I was like, okay, and really, looking back, there's just that unsurety and uncertainty between the two of us of like, okay, but it was really, once it was there and it was clear. And people have their own energies and stuff, but once it was connected, it was like, okay, it got locked into place. And then that's where it was like, yes. And that's, and I felt it, and so it was just, it came in and it was like, yeah, that's there.
Wow. So cool. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you guys for sharing the possibilities.
I think we've only just really started to touch on the possibilities that the bowl can do. For me, it was almost 30 years ago that I was starting to design the bowl, figure it out. And so I've been doing it ever since then. And I still feel all these surprises just keep coming up. New ways to think of it, new ways to look at it, new kinds of uses. And it just never ceases to amaze me and make it so much more interesting and fun to just keep exploring all these different possibilities. Sometimes it's very, very physical. It's based on particular disorders or that somebody has, or maybe something as really physical as a broken bone, or something that can get a lot more complicated, or our modern diseases, and it works on the physical level. Anything that you could think up, dream up. And there's always seems to be a better way to approach what you're trying to work on at the moment. The wording, because we often will put frequencies and programs that have been around for 100 years into the bowl and say it's a broken leg. So you definitely want to have, the material rates and frequencies and stuff for bone and connective tissue and blood vessels and things like that. All this real physical kind of repair stuff. But it works in all levels. It's always working on things that are physical counterpart to whatever you're doing, the emotional part, mental part, and the spiritual part. And you can accentuate any one or more of those, or focus in real directly to be working on just one of those aspects. But we're so woven together all those different parts of ourselves, almost like different dimensions of ourselves, that whatever you're working on, you can't help but to work on the other aspects as well. And it's kind of like with the broken leg bone, a lot of the focus is going to go on mending that bone tissue and the blood vessels and all that very physical kind of doctor stuff. But because we're so woven together, multidimensional, you're going to be automatically working on the other levels at the same time, whether you intended it, if that you may not have even thought of working on the spiritual level of your bone or the break, or how that's affecting your spiritual self or your spiritual life. But it's there, it's part of it, and it automatically is addressing that as well. But there's a lot of times people are using different parts of these programs for spiritual work, to go with their meditations, to go with ceremonies that they want to do. And they put, very specific things in, concentrating on that level. And our ability to focus into that level. In our modern culture, we've been trained to focus in on the physical and emotional and mental in different ways and ratios and amounts. But we're kind of incomplete. What we've learned how to be and do and behave and respond is incomplete. But with any spiritual practice, we're trying to learn how to integrate all those things together. And with the spiritual, that's nonlinear. That's everything nonlinear. Doesn't have anything to do with linear thought and words, or time or space. Things that are spiritual work outside of time and space. So the bold teaches you, whether you're, setting out to learn these things or not, it's going to teach you. It's going to teach your whole system and your subconscious and your conscious mind, your spiritual part of your being, all this non-linearness about your being. No matter what kind of thing you do in the bowl, it's teaching you. And we learn how to grow up. It's another part of our modern culture. We haven't been taught how to grow up. So it teaches you how to grow up and how to wake up spiritually, be able to tune into this nonlinear aspects. No matter what it is that you do or don't do in your life, you might be very spiritually oriented with your own practices, or maybe nothing at all, but it still helps awaken that in whoever it's broadcasting to. So even when I've broadcast to somebody's garden, their vegetable garden, all these same kind of things happen. And that feeling of that garden, that place, it becomes an energy haven. And it attracts all these animals and the birds and all the right bugs, and the water works with the water. Water is very sacred. In all the ancient teachings, water's very, very sacred. And the water in our body is really sacred. And the bowl harmonizes with these these spiritual aspects of water in miraculous ways. Incredible kinds of healing happen because of the spiritual broadcasting with the water or to the water. So a few words for thought.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Comments?
Laura has thoughts.
I have thoughts sometimes. Well, I think back to when I first started using the bowl, and Laura helped me out first. She did the assessments and everything. And then of course we got more bowls and we did a lot of experimenting too. And I remember at one point I had stuck Pat in the bowl and I was talking to Laura on the phone and we were talking kind of like, hey, what do you think of this or whatever? She goes, oh, you might check out the diabetes
Shoot,
disc.
she's gonna throw me under the bus.
No. And I thought, maybe she was talking to spirit when she said that, but no, it was more like, you should test first kind of thing. But I stuck the diabetes disc in Pat's bowl, and Pat had, I know it would turn off if it wasn't for her highest good kind of thing. But she woke up the next morning and a bus had hit her. She had the biggest Herxheimer, or I don't even know how to even say that, Herxheimer response. And like Laura.
Detox blue.
Yeah. But that told us really how powerful the bowl was. And in that sense, it was wonderful because we stuck it in at night and she woke up and she didn't feel so hot. We take it out and put a few rates to help clear the detox.
Yeah, you have, thank you. Well, you have that removed waste around.
But it was truly amazing. We put it in before we went to bed and she like felt horrible in the morning. Like, what are you doing to me? Well, but we learned how powerful the bowl was. That simple. Sometimes it's subtle, but
I
sometimes
learned to
it's
tell
like
them to douse first if it's coming from me. I won't forget that. Here's my thoughts.
Yes.
Not only is channeling spirits.
But yeah, it was amazing. It really was, to see how fast that could impact.
One of our protocols is to try to remember to check for, should I put it in and just leave it like for a while, a day or two or whatever, before I have to check again? Or is there going to be a time limit? Even if it's not a program that's designated, this is going to have a time limit on it. We call those hot sheets. It says it right on the top of the sheets. You need to ask, because people are full of poisons. They're full of real bad poisons, and they typically will have low nutrients, in their body. They're deficient in lots of stuff. And so you put a particular rate in for fixing some of these problems, like the diabetes program is a real good example, because it's got a lot of stuff in there that could, if you had a lot of garbage and not enough nutrition, you're going to have a detox event. So when we ask for the timing, it'll say something like half hour, 2 hours. And that'll start the process of the healing from the program that's in there, but it gets taken out before it can rev up enough to start dumping, so that you feel Herxheimer, you feel the detox flu. It can be so icky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a good example of how powerful it is. Yeah. And the rates and programs for taking out detox events or other kinds of poisons, metals, that we got a ton of them. that go, with the whole bowl and practicing, working with it. They're just as powerful with working in the bowl and taking stuff out and stopping the reaction.
Yep.
A lot of tools. It's a lot.
I've had to use it a few times.
Just-
The overstimulation rates.
Yeah, there's one called overstimulation, and that's definitely, oops, it got left in longer than is advised. Started a Hertzimer. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few oopsies. But
Well,
it's a really wonderful learning.
Yeah. And I have to say, we tend to push the boundaries too. And like, that it's not probably good, but I think because we've got the overstimulation rate, it's like, if it's a little's good, a lot's better. Keep it going. But I've had clients I've actually had to put that overstimulation in with their program, because in dowsing that I was already being told their body would really purge. Like the body was so ready to give up these things and would be excited about these things that keep the overstimulation in with it. And then that was fascinating. This is always anybody who likes the exploration. I mean, there's definitely, the bowl is made easy. There's protocols and simple steps, but our little exploration group here, and there's more of them out there. It's just so much fun to see. I mean, there's very little damage you can do.
Well, you can't do real damage. You can't do anything that's
No.
going to really hurt.
No.
Yeah, the thing that's about the only thing really is a detox effect, a Hertzimer effect. That's about the only thing. And it's uncomfortable, undesirable for most folks. But it's good to get rid of the poison. And people in our culture, they really don't have an understanding of how much poison they have in their bodies. And so many different kinds of poisons and stuff coming from places that your average person just would never even think of. Average products that they pick up at the grocery store or Target, use every day, but they can be deadly. There's a lot of that stuff can be deadly. Even the scent, perfume things that are in so many different products, those are neurotoxins. Most people don't have a clue, but we can get them out and keep them out.
I've been reflecting on what Kay said about how the bowl broadcasts, but then it also teaches and you learn that. And I've been just looking back in my experience with the bowl for the last year, and how I don't put the Star Wars program in Ben's bowl anymore, because he's got really clear boundaries now. He is very clear and doesn't take on other people's emotional black darts that are coming at him and other people's negative thought forms. But then I also look at my 10-year-old, who she is one of the most confident, grounded 10-year-olds I know. And I work with 10-year-olds and I am interacting, and she just knows who she is. And I feel like that's a lot of the bowl and putting the song program in, and not because I'm just honoring who she is. And so there's, I think, a parenting piece, but like she knows. And I think I think the bowl has been teaching her about confidence in a way that she would be resistant to her therapist mother teaching her about confidence. Right. But she just really knows that. And so I see that more and more in as the teaching aspect of, like, not only is it something that's happening, but it's like growing within us and it stays there. It's not like an addiction to the bowl. Like it's not. So, yeah.
One of the things I keyed up with DeAnna saying it's not an addiction. I don't think it's an addiction. I think it's additive. I mean, it's, if you're doing the work, it's an additive. I mean, it's, you're, like I was using the analogy of path, it helps clear that path. You know, if you're heading a direction, it just helps clear the path you're heading. And that's something I realized earlier on. It's like, this was the direction I was heading. It helps you see paths clearer. And if you're not facing that direction, you're not going to see the path. But if you face that direction, you can see the path clearer, and it just gives you that light to see it better.
Well put. Thank you. Well put. I've seen the bowl teach people, or even, you know, plants or your pets, the animals, all kinds of different stuff. I do a lot of different exercise, and when I developed the coherence programs, and recently the thank you, gratitude programs that are part of the coherence package. And of course, the first thing I do, I test it on myself before I hand it out to anybody. I'm the number one guinea pig. Helmut's guinea pig number 2. And I wasn't expecting.
Sometimes number 1.
See, sometimes number 1. Kind of depends who needs what. But I wasn't expecting this directly. But it didn't surprise me when it happened. So I've been trying to learn from our daughter and granddaughters who are very athletic. One teaches Pilates and physical training. The other one teaches yoga, and our daughter just does it all. And they're training all the time. So they're kind of my trainers. So I try new things and start working with them, and it having that in the bowl, all of a sudden, my ability increased in being able to do some of these different exercises. Some of them are pretty rigorous. And you know, you'd think, oh, this is for the 20-year-old group, you know, who love exercise and athletics, but we're trying them, we're doing them, and I could feel the shift, and it was easier. My body had a little bit more flexibility, a little less stiffness. I could go longer. And in doing these different exercises, they're training your body to be stronger in all kinds of different ways. I could feel that the bowl's input in allowing my body allowing itself, or maybe me allowing my body to be able to do all these different things. And you know, I've seen stuff like that over and over and over again in us, and in so many other people, and in clients through all these years. It teaches in so many different ways, and it creates, like you said, there's some kind of an open door leading you down a correct path to what you're trying to achieve. And in that way, I think it helps your subconscious to get out of the way, because we all have, you know, years of training from our culture and our own personal history, and we get these ideas and we don't even notice them consciously, but they're there, that can hinder us, that hold us back in whatever we're trying to achieve, which would include that, healing the broken bone in the leg, or getting better exercise, doing your martial arts better, developing, more stamina, developing the, what people call the immune system. I'm not sure anybody really understands or knows what that is actually yet in the body. It's such an integrated activity throughout your whole body. And it's not just a physical thing. It's an emotional, mental, and a spiritual level thing. And I see it changing in people's immune systems, improving dramatically. So thank you, Ben, for that input. It's very well said. Very astute.
Thank you both for coming on and sharing. It's very exciting. I look at this and listen to this, and then I think back, what was it, 30 years ago in the little apartment in Eugene with the paper bowls, the first prototypes, and where it's gone, and what's happening to people, and the amazing stuff that you people are doing. And it's just deeply moving, beautiful.
I love hearing how people use the bowl and what they think of to put together, to put in the bowl as a program, and what they are attempting, to achieve and work on, and the outcomes. It's, I've done an awful lot through these 30 years, but I feel like I'm just touching the surface, just barely touching the surface. And all these other people who've been learning the bowl and using them are people that get worked on, and the stories that come back. It just never ceases to amaze me. So much diversity and so many different ways, things that this bowl can do. It's just limited by one's own, way of thinking. The willingness you have to explore and experiment. And I've been an experimenter like Lora and Laura for 30 years. Can always go with having it work just a little faster. Let's see if we can make this happen faster. And then I go running for the detox rates.
Okay, we are up to an hour again. Any other thoughts? Anything you guys want to share? Okay.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, all four of you, so much. Beautiful, beautiful things, beautiful stories, beautiful work. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Benjamin. Thanks, DeAnna. Thanks for sharing your stories. It's great. And of course, the Lora team. Thank you both. Okay. I guess we're closing out today's talk. And thanks for joining us live. And we see you next time.
See you next time.
Love you.
Have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.